Hi everyone and welcome to another Vlogmas day. It's another craft video. Today I am going to show you how to make these thank you card with some paper, some cutouts. I had a lot of fun creating these. So these little cards are 3 by 1/4, I think. And I didn't make them 3 by 3 because the ornaments, I made them a little bit too big, so I needed to make the cards a little bit bigger. However, I did want the pattern paper to be 3 by 3 inches because then I could get 4 cards out of one 6 by 6 sheet. Anyhow, I will link every supply used in the description down below so that you can use them. Again, it can be affiliate links, more about that in the description. So yeah, let's get down to the table and start crafting. To start off with, I'm showing you the materials used, and while I was working on this I actually ended up using a lot more. So for decorations I'm using like these self-adhesive crystals. I'm using some embossing powder and gonna play with some Versamark pens, but I'm also gonna use some glitter stickles to add to the cards. I have a bunch of dual bug design Christmas papers that I'm going to put on the cards, and then I have these silhouette cutouts. These are little like ornament cutouts, and they are stars, ornaments and trees, and those stars are with some paper that is called Desert Storm, Nina Desert Storm. I'm using it to make gingerbread cookies. So I'm starting with a little bit of a redder ink. This is distress ink, and then a little bit of a darker ink to edge it, and it looks like a burned gingerbread cookie. And I'm gonna edge also the trees and the hearts with some tone-on-tone ink, and they are made with my favorite thing papers and my favorite things inks. Then I'm gonna cover the first little ornament with some Versamark ink, and I'm gonna add some glitter embossing. I really liked, this was one of my favorite ones when it came to embossing. You can do a lot of fun things with heat embossing. So I started with that, and then I'm gonna cover another one with some more of that Versamark ink, and this time I'm gonna use some clear embossing ink, and I actually end up doing double layers. So after this one dried, I went over with some more Versamark ink, and then I added some more of that embossing powder. If it is hot enough, you can actually directly just dump it into a tub of embossing powder and just use the heat or the stickiness from the heat to do multiple layers, but I rather just use the Versamark multiple times. I didn't use my embossing tool in the beginning, so then I had to use a brush to kind of brush off the little extra pieces that came around it. And then I also realized that this pen was drying out. I've had it for ages. All of these supplies I've had for ages. I think the only thing is like the cardstock that I bought recently. Everything else is really old. It still works, it still works. However, the Versamark was a little bit dry, so I did get a couple of, it wasn't a good coverage. Now I'm gonna go in and actually use this little powder tool to add the powder. This is anti-static powder, which means that the embossing powder won't stick to anywhere else but the where you put the Versamark. There I used like one of those little things that you clear your ears with, and that because I used that ink, it was a lot better coverage. Also filled in the white with a white gel pen, just so that it looked a little bit more even. Here I thought I would make the line with the little ear thing. It didn't work really good, and then I realized I had a lawn fawn pen, and that lawn fawn pen was so good. Like, it really had thick ink, so I do recommend that one for embossing. Really, really good. And then I used some more of that white And I'm making a little starry sky with my white gel pen. So of course I went over to use only the little long form pen, and this is a puffy. It doesn't puff as much as I wanted it to puff. I wanted that more puffiness. Now I'm cutting down all of my pattern paper into 3x3 inch squares, and then I'm making strips of 6.5 by 3.25 pieces. I score them in the middle, and then I just fold them and burnish the edges. Next step was to add the papers to the cards. This is it went pretty fast, just working one at a time. Instead of working a full card at a time, I made all of the cards, and then I will decorate for the rest. Low sentiments comes from my little printable that you can find on my Etsy store. And it says, thank you so much for your hard work. I do have other sentiments, more Christmassy sentiments in there. And then I'm using these. I found I had a sheet of some kind of flat foam. So I'm using that. And then I have these little sheets, which I do have had for like 10 years from Kraft Companion. And they are higher, so they kind of help building up the card. So I built up all the cards, and now I'm just gonna decorate the ornaments. So I'm starting off playing around with some glitter glues. So it is not Skittles. Oh, I just forgot the name of them. It will come to me later. I'm making a lot of these cards. It is the Ranger kind of glitter glue, and I'm also using a little bit of this nuvo ones. I did find my nuvos are newer than my stickles. That's the word. Than my stickles, my Ranger stickles I've had probably for 8 years. I had very few that was dried out of the stickles. The ones that was dried out were the ones that had just a little bit left in the bottles, while with the nuvos, they were pretty much dried out, many of them, and that white one was really slow it wasn't that runny, so it was really hard to work with. Then I'm using all my little crystals, and I have crystals, I have pearls, I have so many of these because I had a period, like when I started making cards, where this was kind of my accent on almost all of my cards. So I have a whole box full of them, or a whole drawer full of them. So I thought, well, I'm gonna use up as many as possible. Hey, if you have the craft materials, you should really use them. So I'm opening up some new ones. I thought I'd do a green on green tree because it has the green background and then the green tree, so I wanted the green crystals on it. It was really, really fun to make. I'm definitely gonna make more cards next year because I was having so much fun. Like, I was so creative with all of these. Also using my white gel pen to make a little bit of a detail, and then I just add a little bit more of the stickles. And even though that is like a tropical blue, it worked really, really good. Here I'm just gonna make a glittery tree. I'm using the Kraft Companion glitter pens here. They are alcohol based, so the dye ink on the tree won't kind of color it, and that is why I chose to work with that instead of any other kind of glitter pens. There's a lot of glitter pens out there. And then I just continue to build up. A little note on the glitter glues and on the nuvo drops. The nuvo drops will dry as like enamel, almost like enamel drops, while the stickles will dry flat. So even though they go on in domes, they do dry flat. Here I use a little bit of crystals. I have some heart-shaped crystals. They are resin, so they have actually yellowed over time, but I thought they would look pretty good with the little gingerbread cookie star here. And then I'm using a whole bunch of these crystals, which is by Pretty Little Posh. So I have a mixture of stuff. Like I just went through my decoration drawer and just picked out a whole bunch of things. So you can do a lot of fun things if you just have a little. You don't need as much of craft supplies as I have. I have collected my craft supplies for like 10 years. So I have a lot. And I need to use it up so I have more space in my drawers. So right now I'm not really allowing myself to buy that much. I haven't bought craft supplies since April, which feels really good. I'm just using up what I have. And so you can use anything you have, or you can just pick some simple little crystals. Like those little pink and white crystals, the bigger sheet, was really cheap. I picked it up at our local hardware store because they have a little craft section. So you don't need to buy the expensive supplies. And by the way, most of these crystals are actually pretty affordable. Now I'm gonna go back to the stickles. I'm going back and forth with the stickles and the nuvo drops because I ran out of space to let it dry, and you want to let it dry for at least an hour or so, at least so that it's not sticky. If you're gonna mail cards like this, you do want these things to dry for 24 hours. At least the nuvo that has the domes, the stickles, you will see when it's flat and dry, you can just put it through the mail because you don't have to worry about it flattening. It's already flat. While the nuvo drops, they do need 24 hours before you mail them. So I put these all around my office and let them dry, and then the next day I came in and finished off the cards. So many of these craft videos are recorded during multiple days, but it allowed me to be creative multiple days. I had so much fun. I know I'm saying it over and over again, but these weren't stressed. These were just me sitting down, playing with all of my supplies. And I need to do that more because it was a lot of fun. I'm repeating myself, sorry. This is sped up by 8 times, so 800%. Just so you know, that is why it's going so fast. Otherwise we will be here for hours. I think I had 3 hours of footage. So now I'm going to go through all of my cards. It goes very fast. However, you can slow down these clips on YouTube like up to 2 times. So if you want to see them a little bit more, everyone, you can just slow down this part of the video. Now these were all of them, so that was a lot of cards. Now I'm going to make boxes. I realized that I couldn't make one box with all of the cards, so I actually separated into 2. And I just measured the height of it, and then I knew that I wanted a box in the middle that measured like 3 3/8 or something like that, just a little bit bigger than 3 1/4. So probably 3 5/8. I made a square for the lid, and then I made a rectangle for the bottom, and you're going to see why. I scored it at the same height around it, and then I just burnished the folds and cutting out little slits where I'm going to make the box fold together, and I made 2 boxes at one time. The height of these boxes are the same, however I did do a little bit of a smaller tab so that it had this little hole to make, so it gets easier to pick up the cards. So that is the kind of main boxes where you put all the cards. And then I made the box lid the same size, but they have the edge as high as the rest. The little tabs you can make a little bit smaller. You don't have
have them as big. So that is the box, and I finish off with a little bit of an inch circle to make a little tab so it's easier to get the lid off. And then I just took these boxes in my bag when I traveled. So yeah, that is the video for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, please thumbs it up. If you want to see more like this, just hit that subscribe button. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye!